we only see fresh starts as like a new job, a new car, a new home, a new relationship.
Our society can kind of make us feel a little less than, especially social media. If you're doing a lot of scrolling and you see people buying the new car, people getting the new house, but you don't see all those little steps every day that they took, it can feel like my $10 savings this week that's towards my house is nothing because somebody else bought a house.
Right. And then once your reality hasn't met your expectations, your whole life is ruined. Or at least your whole day.
What does that say about me? My struggles are all right here. I'm blessed. That's what it says. Amen.
I don't know. Would we schedule our time to go out to eat?
No.
I don't think so.
This is Sistas Declassified, the podcast where
Taylor
and Taryn,
your virtual sisters, share experiences, insights, and of course the juicy secrets that never leave the sister circle.
So shh, listen up. The Declassified convos are starting now.
Welcome back to Sistas Declassified, where real-life sisters who decided to start a podcast instead of letting our fresh start go to waste.
Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and special alert, we're available on all platforms now. So if you're on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. So follow us.
All right, let's get into our declassified moment for the day.
No filter, no fluff.
Starting over doesn't mean you failed. It means you're brave enough to choose yourself again. Fresh starts aren't just about new beginnings. They're about honoring who you're becoming and what you need right now.
I like that. We're just getting right to the point today.
Fresh starts have been on my mind, obviously, as we enter the new year and end this year. I think often people are trying to start new things or look back at the goals that they've previously written down and want to achieve, and maybe realize their fresh start didn't happen, or they're trying to rush to make the plan happen at the end.
Right. They set New Year's resolutions in last December, and now it's December.
Mm-hmm. And it got me thinking about this topic a little bit because maybe 2 weeks ago I realized, like, oh, there's 6 weeks left in the year, and I didn't achieve some of the goals that I had for myself. And I could have used that as all right, I'm gonna just crash out. The year's almost over. I'm just gonna do nothing.
Start over next year.
Exactly. But instead, I decided I'm gonna take this opportunity, since I noticed, to have a fresh start now. I have 6 weeks, so I made myself a little 6-week habit tracker and a 6-week challenge, and every day is going to be a new start. But I thought that could be a conversation for us today, because I think oftentimes we only see fresh starts as like a new job, a new car, a new home, a new relationship.
Yeah, or even sometimes it's like I gotta wait for a new day. Like today is ruined because I was late.
Exactly.
Like the whole day is shot because I didn't finish my makeup on time to get to the shoot on time, to get to the thing on time. And I could choose to just decide the whole day is ruined, or I could decide to start fresh literally whenever.
Exactly.
Ooh, it's hard though.
It is
hard. I will say it's very hard.
Or you spill your coffee, you're stuck in traffic in the morning, and it's like, my day's ruined. But that's not the case. If you decide to show up differently, then you are going to have a different experience.
Yeah, I think for me personally, it can be hard when I have a plan in mind, and then I am either unable to execute the plan. Either it's my fault or somebody else's fault or nobody's fault, but like I get stuck on the fact that it wasn't executed how I imagined it, and now it feels like it's not as good.
Yeah, that definitely impacts it, because your expectation versus your reality, and then once your reality hasn't met your expectations, your whole life is ruined, or at least your whole day. And so I think it's really important for us as people to take opportunities to see each day as a fresh start, or each moment as a fresh start. Like, oh, I cheated on my diet. That doesn't mean you eat bad the rest of the day.
Right.
It means you
had a
ate
cookie,
cake,
girl.
right?
It's okay.
And then it's fine. That means drink some water afterwards. Your fresh start starts with your sip of water and making a good choice after that. Or, I don't know. I'm just thinking about food right now because I'm hungry. There's other areas.
No, but I think there are things in life too, right? Like we had talked about this in a previous episode. I don't remember how far back, but just how as we've gotten older, our goals have gotten bigger and they become more like projects, and so they're not necessarily going to be complete by a day's work. And so, like, I'm trying to think of an example. Maybe it's a fitness-related example. It's going to take you action every single day, a decision every single day to get to whatever the end result is. Whether it's, like, having more stamina and being able to run longer, or if it's you're trying to lose weight, or if you're trying to build muscle mass, whatever the thing is. it's not going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
And I struggle with that. And so when we're talking about like those small victories and thinking about comparison sometimes too, I think just like our society can kind of make us feel a little less than, especially social media. If you're doing a lot of scrolling and you see people buying the new car, people getting the new house, but you don't see all those little steps every day that they took, it can feel like, well, my $10 savings this week that's towards my house is nothing because somebody else bought a house.
Right. And just thinking about, I think, starting, like the idea of starting over when you have to start over in front of people. So like, for example, my little 6-week challenge, right? I've done a challenge before, and did I finish the challenge? Maybe not. And it's like, is that embarrassing to have done a challenge last year and then you do another challenge and you...
Right.
But that's a new start over, and it's a new day, and it's a new opportunity for me. So it's like, regardless of what I did before, and the fact that that failed doesn't mean that I shouldn't put myself out there and try this new challenge again, you know?
Yeah, that's very relatable. We were talking off camera about how long it's been since I've posted really on my personal content, but like I'm still a content creator. But it can be hard to feel like I need to start over, rebrand, or the content I used to make doesn't really jive with me anymore. But I feel like I'm supposed to post what I used to post. I don't know. It can be challenging to start over in public because you feel like you become known for one thing, or like people expect one thing, and then you can change or be different or stop altogether. And like that be okay too, because you're starting over could be in a completely different area of life.
Exactly. And I think people feel like they can't pivot. I think the society doesn't allow people to pivot or to make a mistake or to name, like, I tried it for a while, I got bored with it, and then I took a break, and now I came back and I'm trying it again. Like, I feel like it's not necessarily told that you can't do that, but I think it just feels like you can.
Right, and if you take stock of everyone's opinions while you're moving or deciding, it can also be challenging.
And I think it's really important to give yourself grace and give yourself opportunities to make mistakes, but also learn from them, because starting over is your opportunity to have the life that you want. And so if you look at it like that, it's like, I'm going to get the life that I want by starting this thing, or by saying, okay, I made a mistake, but that's not the end all be all. I don't have to give up on my goal. I think that can be very important. And I think generally, like, as a part of giving yourself grace, you have to be aware when you're not giving yourself grace.
Common theme.
You are being hard on yourself, or you are telling yourself you can't do something because you already tried. And so I think giving yourself space to journal in the morning, set intentions for yourself about what you want to accomplish, and so then you can later on reflect on whether you did and what impacted you in being able to succeed. Because I think if you can give yourself grace to know why you made that mistake, right? If we use our mistakes or even our emotions as more of a what's the word I'm looking for? A warning sign, rather than like a reason to stop. Or like, you know, your emotions are communicating something to you rather than telling you that you need to not go on that journey. Right.
Sometimes we misread the signs that we're, like when we're triggered or when we're feeling heightened emotions. It's like, does it mean danger, or does it mean I am stepping out of my comfort zone towards the direction I want to?
Exactly.
Or, yeah.
So I think having that reflection or thought process with yourself can then help you to be okay with starting over or making a new beginning for yourself. Because the people around you are not going to judge you for handling your business, right? Or for doing things that are important to you and standing on that.
This is definitely an area where me and my therapist are working on, because I could be very judgmental with myself, be very quick to like throw away the whole day when it was like one thing that didn't go my way or how I thought it should go or how I planned it or whatever. But I do want to also acknowledge, like, while we're talking about this, that it's easier said than done.
Oh, for sure.
I know you are not trying to say that it's easy, but I just really want to name that, because me personally, when I think about like giving myself grace in these small wins, I just get like a little tired of doing the same thing every day. Like, yes, journaling, great tip, and we'll get into like other practical tips for folks to do, but I be getting bored. I actually recently had to get myself a little it's like a I call it a tablet, but basically it's like this little, it's like a
It's
tablet.
a notebook.
No, it's a physical, like, piece of thing. I write notes, lines. I should have brought it. But basically, it's like a tablet, and I can check off whether I did something or not. And so
It's a to-do list.
it's not I mean, yes, it could be used as a to-do list, and like, yes, that's what it's for, but I'm using it for like my weekly feel-good things. So I have like things on the list like connect with the loved one, meal prep, read a good book, eat something I like, whatever. And so I just like have to check those off so I can see it, because I'd be tired. I'd be like, I didn't do anything this week, and it'd be a lie. But those are the things I'm telling myself, because I could think of all the things I didn't do a lot easier than thinking of all the things I did do or that did go well.
Well, then I think it's also like asking yourself in the morning, if journaling is boring, like what can I do to make this day feel like a fresh start today? And like, I know things are silly because obviously we have to go to work and we have, like, people have kids or they have things that they have to do every day. But like, is the difference that you go to a different coffee shop? Is the difference that you drive a different route? Is the difference that you, I don't know, call a friend you haven't talked to in a year? Like, hey, you were just on my mind.
It's definitely a good one.
But anyways, those are just little mini fresh starts or opportunities for yourself. But as we talk about this, we want you to kind of reflect and think about, I forgot the question.
What's like a small reset you could do today? I know we talked about being overwhelmed by these big projects, but there's probably something small you could do today that would help you reset and reach closer to your goals. Or not even your goals, but just like what you want.
What you want, and maybe it's not just like a tangible thing, but how you want to feel about your experiences every day. Because you might be able to incorporate something that makes you feel better about how your day is going, or the opportunities that you have in front of you, or whether you're just going to be doing little things towards your big overarching goal. Because it sounds like what is annoying to you is having to do those little things every day until you get to the goal.
Yeah, and not totally understanding how they add up to reaching the end goal, because I think sometimes I can get distracted in like the minutia of the day to day.
Are there areas where you feel like you need to see things more as a fresh start or opportunity? You kind of touched on it with your posting, but is there anything else?
I honestly think it's just like my general mindset. It's why I'm in therapy. At the slightest inconvenience, I'm like, throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm over it. I'm done. And that is not practical, because there are always going to be things that don't go your way. And I think some of this came about in like COVID and being in isolation and just like being able to do whatever I wanted in the comfort of my home and however I wanted on my schedule, and not really having people expect me to go anywhere or do anything. And I think there was some comfort in that. And so as the world has gone on, and as my responsibility in life has changed, things have changed. And I think I just wasn't, I guess, ready to shift totally back to normal. And I got myself burnt out. But I've also been like having new jobs in between. So there's been like new challenges or new stressors that are compounding in different ways than they were previously. And I think when the world stopped, I really was chilling.
And then do you see those new challenges as fresh starts? Like, do you see, like, you got a promotion you shared. Do you see that as a fresh start or opportunity to feel different about your job? Or
would my immediate response be that that's a fresh start? No. No. And that's why I said it's not, I don't think it's about one thing in my life in particular. I think it's about how I view everything.
Yeah, and I'm like trying to place myself over there, because I feel like that's one of the
We're
areas
different.
where we are different. Yeah, because I feel like I see everything as a new opportunity, and money comes to me easily, and life is a ball.
And I wonder if you look at like firstborn versus secondborn, if there's any themes there.
I guess, but I would say for our household, in a lot of ways, I don't know that you were treated like the firstborn. I feel like you got a lot of what you wanted.
I don't think that being the firstborn means you don't get what you want. I think there's a level of performance that you live through or do that the second child does not, in the same way.
I guess. I just don't know what and maybe that's a different conversation for another day, like what pressures you feel like were put on you to be.
I'm not saying that the pressures I had were any different than the pressures you had per se, although I'm sure there are some differences. I think how I internalized them and how I then took that to tell me how to move in the world is different than you.
For sure.
And so I think it'd be interesting to just see if there are other older sisters who feel that way or feel differently than their younger sisters in terms of like the pressure
being able to go with the flow.
Yeah.
Because that's really like I think what it is.
Well, I think it's a go with the flow or go with whose flow. And I think maybe that's the controllingness of being an older sibling. Like, this is how the shit was before you got here. This is how it goes. If mom says do that, we just do it because it's easy. Because you just do it. If dad doesn't do this, then we don't do that. Right? Like, I think in some ways it can, if you are a controlling older sibling, it can feel like, just do what they say, do what they do, and we can be fine, and we can move on, and everybody kumbaya. And I think younger siblings don't necessarily move towards that, like, conform for family agreement and ease. In the same way that older siblings are almost, like, kind of taught to, because you need to set the example for your younger sibling.
I feel like I can start over and be silly one day, demure the next day, making a mistake one day, being the expert the next day, and well, sometimes that's very true. Obviously, other times I'm not always confident in what I'm doing. But I allow myself to do it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Even if I don't know how well it might be received by others, if it feels good to me in that moment, then I'm going to be okay to start fresh.
And I think the difference is I have very few moments where starting fresh feels good.
Yeah. I guess, and that maybe it's the underlying reason why starting fresh feels good to me is just that I'm like, okay, this is a new opportunity, like the declassified moment to show up for myself. Versus if I don't start over or have a fresh start, then I literally just didn't do anything, right? And I'm just upset with my circumstances. So I think that's why it's like, okay, would you rather sit and be mad, or would you rather have your fresh start?
Jury's out.
Which I'm not talking to you.
I know.
But I think that's, I don't know, why fresh starts feel good to me. But anyways, we're rambling. I think the practical tips that we were kind of trying to hit on, we kind of talked about throughout. But essentially, about setting an intention in the morning can be helpful. Knowing what you want to accomplish that day so that it feels like a fresh start and is an opportunity for you to achieve something.
I do mine the night before because the morning my brain's already going.
Yeah, the night before is actually even better for some people because
my day's already started. There's already been 7 things that have gone wrong.
Right.
So I can't do it in the morning because there's too many opportunities.
Well, also it allows you to have a better sleep, right? So if you have all these things on your mind that you feel like you need to do the next day, if you can get them out of your head before you go to bed, it's like, now I can have a fresh start for my sleep, right?
Exactly.
Everything can really be fresh and new.
Yeah, and to that end, it helps to like break it apart. So for me, I find it helpful to think about the next day, the night before, because I can put on my things, check my list. Like I packed my bag for filming today last night so that I wouldn't have to worry about it in the morning. I could just pick up the bag and go, and it wasn't going to be stressful, although I was still late. Yeah, but breaking it down into smaller tasks, so I'm not trying to do everything all at once, can be helpful. Even if it's just like planning my next day the night before. Even if it's just what's the morning going to look like. I don't have to plan the whole day, just the morning.
Right. And it doesn't have to be that planned, right? I know that that's helpful for her, but for you, it's just that you need to jot down like 3 or 4 things that would make you feel great about the day. Did you get 10 minutes outside? Did you go for a walk? Did you hang out with your kids for 30 minutes? Did you hang out with your significant other for an hour? I don't know. Those could be the things that make you feel accomplished. Or say you're working towards a career goal. So maybe you allotted 20 minutes for research every day. Like, it doesn't have to be this big overarching thing, and I think that's probably why the fresh starts feel so crazy or so, like, uncomfortable, because you're trying to experience the whole thing when you really should just probably be experiencing a small little set.
I'm trying to get it done. I'm trying to get it done.
Which I totally understand. I like to get things done, too. And
complete. Check off the list.
definitely.
Never think about it again.
Mm-hmm.
But most of these things I got to think about every day.
Every day. How dare it? But I think that's where it's like creating routines and activities for yourself that don't feel like chores, and really being realistic with yourself about like.
I'm like, but what about the chores?
Yeah. Then when do you have energy for chores, right? Is cleaning up as you go a good activity for you so that chores feel smaller?
Yeah. But
I guess it's just all in the mindset shift, and I think ultimately that's the truth for most situations, is if your mindset can turn something negative into a positive, and not in that like unrealistic way of like somebody just crashed into my car, it's totaled, and I'm supposed to be like, it's all good, my life is wonderful.
I mean, you could be thankful to be alive.
Exactly.
But let's not go too far.
But
like,
no,
let's be
that
real,
was
this sucks.
Right, you can be real, this sucks, but you're taking a moment to be grateful that you're alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you have maybe, hopefully, insurance that can pay for your car,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. I dropped the mic. But, or whatever case may be, there's always a silver lining, I guess.
Yeah.
And so whether you focus on that negative or that uncomfortable or the positive and the thing that could make you feel like, I can get through this. So.
It's all in our head. It's all in our head. But if it can't be in your head, you can always get some visual cues, like I talked about with my little tablet. I have it for chores too, because I felt like the chores were just mounting, and I had a digital list, but I wasn't seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just on the fridge. Did you do it or did you not? And it just resets every Sunday. And so then it's like, okay, I did half of it. Not bad. I did none of it. Ooh, gotta get to it.
Yeah, I mean that's similar to my little calendar. I make it at the start of the month, and I check things off based on the day. And when I do it, great. If I did half of it, awesome. I'll even write a little note on the side that said like, for the month, if I wasn't getting my steps, I would write how many I actually did do. So It's not that I didn't do anything.
Right.
I just didn't do my overarching goal, right?
Oh, it can be so hard to do those reflection sessions with yourself. Because I'm sitting here thinking like, yeah, of course, it's a great idea. But then you have to like sit there and actually make yourself look to see how you did. To stop the voices in your head.
But that depends on how extreme of a challenge it is for you. Because at least for me, after I wrote it down, how many steps I
inside of your brain,
it's like, okay, well, tomorrow we'll try to get 10. Because obviously you want to hold yourself to a standard, so I do have expectations of myself. But it's just that just because I didn't always, when someone else doesn't meet your expectations, what do? Do you shit on them, or do you give them an opportunity to improve?
Depends. Mostly opportunity to improve.
Right. So I don't have to have a 30-minute sit down after I didn't get my steps and tell myself, why you didn't get them steps? It's just like, all right, I reflected, I saw how many I got, and tomorrow, what can I do to show up differently to get all the steps?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, all right, bet. Tomorrow's a fresh start. And that's it. Took 30 seconds.
It's lovely to be in your brain.
Which, yeah, don't get me wrong. There are areas where I'll beat myself up. Like, I'm starting with food in this episode for a reason. Because I will eat some cake. And be like, dang it, I shouldn't eat that cake. But, anyway, so... we've
Enough about us. Let's talk about you.
We've rambled. Yes, we just want to get to our sister circle question and ask you guys if there's an area of your life that you feel like you have or want to have a fresh start. And
what might be holding you back from taking the first step to seeing the progress you want to see?
Because for us, it's our minds.
Right. What does that say about me? My struggles are all right here. I'm blessed. That's what it says. Amen. Okay.
Yeah, and if we were going to talk about it, everybody's struggles are all right here. But that could be for another day.
Another day, another time. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget we are now available on all platforms. So if you're watching, you may you may also be listening. So thank you for listening. Don't forget to rate, like, comment, subscribe, all those good things that help keep us going and let us know we're not talking to just ourselves.
Yeah, because you see, we're having a fresh start on Apple and Spotify.
And wherever podcasts are found. So join us. It doesn't have to be the new year to start fresh. All right. Catch you in the next one.